I had to react to a video eventually. Eventually. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to take Harden's chain. The title of the video, as you can see in the top left corner, is the worst playoff superstar ever. Mars. What you gonna do about this, bro? What are you gonna do about this? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of At the Buzzer Sports, where we talk all things basketball all the time. And today we have a reaction video. I don't do reactions a lot. I gotta start getting back on that. This is easy content. This is easy content. You feel me? But it is what it is. But today we got the worst playoff superstar ever, and they're talking about James Harden. I would have to assume that this video came out 2 days ago, actually. I thought this was probably ready for when after Game 7 happened. You want to talk about Harden, this, that, and the third, because low key, on the lowest key, like I'm thinking about making a SGA's not close to Kobe video if they lose in Game 7. You gotta understand it. You gotta understand it. But my laundry will be done in 15 minutes, so let's actually get this started. Shout out to what's this guy's name? Johnny Arnett. There it is. Make sure you guys
James Harden's
subscribe to
career
him.
has become one of the most controversial in NBA history. This is a guy who is undeniably on the short list of the greatest scorers of all time. He's one of only 3 players in NBA history to score 36 or more points per game in a season. Between the 2010 to 2011 and the 2019 to 2020 seasons, no player in the NBA scored more points than the Beard. This amazing gift to put the ball in the basket has allowed Harden to see the playoffs in all 16 years of his career.
Every single year, he doesn't miss the playoffs.
Praise ends. Because when it comes to playoff basketball, James Harden has built a reputation that no superstar wants. In fact, he might just be the worst playoff performer of any superstar in NBA history. Now,
I don't. Let's see. Because come on. Let's see.
If you look at the numbers without the context, you might think that's an exaggeration. Of the guys with over 100 playoff games played, Harden is one of only 4 players to average what he has or better in the playoffs. But this far from tells the story. Today, we're doing a deep dive into how and why James Harden has earned this underwhelming reputation. We're going to look at some of his absolute worst playoff performances. And honestly, there are a lot of them spread out across almost every single playoff run that he's had. I'm not kidding. Putting this list together took way longer than I thought it would. So settle in and get comfortable, because you're about to see just how many historically bad playoff games this man has had.
All right, let's get into it.
NBA Finals.
Must be a long video.
We start all the way back in 2012, when Harden was just 22 years old and was playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He had been named the 6th man of the year for the regular season, and was exceptional off the bench in the Western playoffs, scoring double figures in every game. But when the NBA Finals came around, the pressure seemed to hit hard. In both Game 3 and Game 4, Harden shot just 2 of 10 from the field.
Damn it. That's 4 for 20.
Games where a young Harden completely disappeared.
4 for 20. That's a 20% from the field type of day.
And even though many would give him a pass due to his age, this was the first sign that maybe the lights were just a bit too bright for James Harden. 2013 first round, games 4 and 6. Jumping ahead to
going back to OKC.
Now facing
okay, so I didn't know that we were counting his entire career, but maybe I thought just for a second that it would be like just since he's been an MVP caliber player, which was probably like 2015 and on.
Thunder, his former team at this point, as Harden was traded to Houston after the 2012 finals. Now the Rockets actually won this game, avoiding a sweep by the Thunder, but it was despite James Harden, not because of it.
Wait, did he just miss that layup? Hold on, go back. Did he just miss that?
Now the Rockets actually won this game, avoiding a sweep by the Thunder.
No shot he missed. No shot he missed that.
He had a
Oh
rough
my
shooting
God.
night, going
You
just
getting
4
beat
for
up in
12
the
from
locker room.
field and missing all 4 of his three-point attempts. Harden would also set the Rockets franchise record for turnovers in a playoff game
Yep.
with a terrible total of 10. He was simply giving the ball away left and right. Then came Game 6 of that same series, and this one stings a little bit more. Harden put up 26 points, which doesn't sound terrible on the surface, but dig a little deeper and you'll see he needed a whopping 22 shots to get there, shooting just 31.8% from the field. And when the pressure was on in the second half, which will be a reoccurring theme of this video, he went ice cold, hitting only 3 of his 11 shots. To top it all off, he had 4 turnovers as his former team
letting
Thunder
old ass
sent
Derek
the Rockets
Fisher lock
packing,
you up, nigga. That's
scoring
sad.
26
Come on,
points
gang. Old ass Derek Fisher. This is OKC Derek Fisher. OKC Derek Fisher locking your ass up. Everybody want to talk about Austin Reeves and getting locked up by old ass Mike Conley. Now he getting locked up by old ass Derek Fisher. I just saw 2 clips. I don't want to see. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it for all the Harden fans. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
half,
Letting this old ass nigga lock you up. Lock you up. He locking your ass up.
the
Watch it
reoccurring
again.
theme of this
Let's
video,
watch it again.
He went ice cold,
Locking your
hitting
ass
only
up.
3 of his
Locking
11
your ass
shots.
up.
To
I
top
better
it
not
all
get
off,
copyright for
he
this
had
shit.
4 turnovers as
Locking
his
his ass up. Locking him up. He's locking him up, Chad. Locking him up. Fuck.
team, the Thunder,
Locking him
sent
up.
the Rockets packing.
Locking
Scoring
him
26
up, bro.
points on that many shots
God
in an
damn.
elimination game is never
Look
the
at Pat
performance
Bev and
you're
Chandler
looking for
Parsons.
from your leader.
Ooh. That was a team.
2014
Chad,
first
y'all remember
round,
what
game
was his
2.
name? Wasn't his name like Terrence Jones or Terrence? It wasn't Terrence Shannon. It was Terrence Jones, a little 6'8" motherfucker, the power forward. I think it was a lefty.
Against the Blazers, Harden put up 18 points on 19 shots,
Fuck.
just 31.6% shooting, and he added 5 turnovers. The real heartbreak, though, came in Game 6 of that series.
Dame put their
Damian
ass to
Lillard hit
bed.
a game
Oh
winner
my
to end
god.
Houston's season.
I
And
remember
while
that
Harden
game, Chad.
had a decent game on offense, his defense was objectively
Look
awful.
at Batum. Look at Batum. Look
as
at
he was
Batum.
targeted possession after possession down the stretch. 2015 semifinals, Game 6 versus the Clippers. Alright, now we get to a game that had to be on the list. The Rockets were facing elimination, and Harden was having an absolute nightmare of a second half. He started the third quarter going just 1 of 7 from the field. Things got so bad that the coach, Kevin McHale, actually benched James Harden to start the fourth quarter of an elimination game.
Fuck.
Let that sink in.
Come on,
Your
gang. Like when we
superstar,
talk about it,
the
like,
guy
bro, I like James Harden. I love James Harden. I think he's a fantastic player. And in 2K18, he was a dog. 2K18, I don't give a fuck if you grab the Warriors. I'm grabbing the Rockets, and we running it Harden and Capella pick and roll. And we got CP3, Trevor Ariza, and PJ Tucker out on the perimeter, and they knocking down shots. They burning that bitch. Oh my God. I ain't gonna lie. But shit. You can't even hide this shit. Like,
relied upon for this entire season to the tune of 27.4 points per game is sitting on the bench when your season is on the line. And then something crazy happened. The Rockets went on a 40-15 run without their top scorer and came all the way back to win the game.
maybe I gotta rewatch
The
this
Rockets
game.
saved their season
Maybe I gotta
by
rewatch
taking
this game.
Harden off the floor. 2015 Western Conference Finals, Game 5. Still alive in the playoffs, Harden had a chance to redeem
But, like,
himself
can't you,
after
like,
the mess
okay.
against the Clippers.
For a lot of superstars, can't you find bad games in the playoffs? Like, if you have a 16-year sample size of playoff games, don't you think you can put together a bunch of bad games? Hold on. All right, so I decided to stumble across Allen Iverson's playoff game log. Second career playoff game, 13 points, 6 turnovers, 4 fouls, and 4 for 15 from the field. Let's look at the next series. Did they win that? Yeah, they won that series. They got swept in the next series against Indy back in '99. Game 2, I believe, where they lost that game, 7 of 28, 25% from the field, 13 for 33 points on 32 shots. Like, you can find 5 for 21, 9 for 27, 9 for 25, 9 for 21, 7 for 20. 10 for 31, 7 for 22, 6 for 24, 8 for 27, 5 for 26, 5 for 27, 12 for 30, 12 for 30, 14 for 32, 41 shots. That's an overtime game, so I'll give him some leeway. 9 for 26, 9 for 28, 8 for 21, 9 for 23, 5 for 25, 9 for 22, 7 for 24, 9 for 25, 9 for 25, 6 for 22. Like, let's move on to another player. So, chat decided to use somebody a little more recent. Let's see. First playoff series as an MVP caliber player. Can somebody give me an 8 for 20? Can somebody give me an 8 for 21? Dallas played really well. Played really well against Dallas. Let's look at Memphis. 4 for 13. Hold on. 4 for 13. 10 for 29. 10 for 26. He had a good game. 13 for 24. And then game 1, solid game, 12 for 26. Game 2 against the Nuggets, very good game, 11 for 13. Game 3 in the loss, 7 for 22. Game 4 in the win, 8 for 19. Then he's played better since. The more the playoff experience you get, you're going to build up some bad games. So you can do this for a lot of players. I just think you have to really break down why James Harden struggles in the playoffs, especially when he was a MVP caliber player. So let me just give my take on it real fast, and we're just going to go back to the video. One thing about James Harden, in my opinion, is I just think the shot diet isn't the best playoff proofing type of shot diet where it's a lot of step back threes, or he's getting to the rim a lot and he's going to be forced to play make as much as he possibly can. But when the defense is more physical, you don't have the best spacing around you like he did in his earlier years with Houston. It's just going to be a lot harder to generate really good shots. And I also do think that James Harden's good playoff moments don't get brought up a lot, like game 1 in the 2018 Western Conference Finals, where I think he had 41 points. That doesn't get talked about enough. But I just think when the lights are brightest, like game 7s or elimination games, James Harden consistently doesn't play to the level that we believe he can. And in NBA media, that's going to foreshadow, or that's going to shine a light brighter than all of the positive moments he has had throughout the entire series. So let's get back to the video. All right, let's get back to the video, man.
But in game 5 against the Warriors, he had one of the worst games in NBA playoff history. He scored 14 points, shot 2 of 11 from the field, and get this, he set an NBA record for the most turnovers in a playoff game with 12. With yet another awful performance in a must-win playoff game, this was the season where many began to consider him as a, quote, playoff choker. 2017 semifinals, games 5 and 6 against the Spurs. In game 5, Harden actually had
Isn't this the series where
half,
Ginobili blocked his shot?
the
He blocked the shot at the end of the game, right? I think so.
Wheels completely fell
Another
off
series
in
I
the
gotta go
second
back and
half
watch.
and overtime.
It's going to be a long
The
off
Bears
season.
scored a grand total of 10 points on just 3 of 8 shooting. And to add insult to injury, he got absolutely stuffed by a 39-year-old Manu Ginobili on the very last play of the game, sealing the loss for the Rockets. And then came game 6, and it was an absolute disaster. The Spurs were without their main star, Kawhi Leonard. So many expected Harden, like many greats before him, to come out strong after a tough loss and get the Rockets to a Game 7 in dominant fashion. In reality, however, San Antonio absolutely demolished the Rockets.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting. That is disgusting.
15-75.
I'd be so
Harden
pissed. I'd
had
be
just
so
10
pissed if I spent my money on that damn game and this is the stat line. Like, chat, come on, be real. Let's look at it all the way through. Let's look at it all the way through. This is the stat line, chat. Like, fuck. By the way, don't worry about me steady calling y'all chat. It's just something that's going to happen.
Points on 2 of 11 shooting with 6 turnovers. Harden looked helpless as the Rockets were again blown out in an elimination game, this time at home. 2018 Western Conference Finals, Game 7 versus the Warriors. This game is most remembered for the Rockets missing an unbelievable 27 consecutive three-point shots. And who was leading the charge for those misses? You guessed it, James Harden, who was desperately needed because his co-star Chris Paul got hurt in Game 6. He missed 10 consecutive three-pointers during that brutal stretch. While the entire team struggled, as the leader and
Chad, am I tripping, or did he make some and they just got called off, or they just got waived? Am I tripping? Is that this game?
Harden, who won his first scoring title, must assume a large share of the blame for not finding alternative ways to score points and rally his teammates, as it would be expected of any superstar of his caliber. The Rockets had a chance to reach the NBA Finals and be the team that ended the Warriors' dynasty. But unfortunately, at this point, James Harden almost felt cursed as soon as the regular season ended each year. 2019 first round, Game 3. Now the Rockets actually won this game against the Utah Jazz, so it might seem weird to include it, but Harden was historically bad. He missed
I'm not gonna lie,
15
Chad.
shots
Back in 2019, I was not watching this series. I was watching Dame bust Russ ass. Anyway.
That's the most consecutive missed shots to start a playoff game in NBA history.
Damn.
He ended up shooting just 3 of 20 from the field. To put that in perspective, of all players who have taken at least 20 shots,
he ended with
in a
22
playoff
points, so his
game
ass was getting to
over
that
the
free
last
throw
30
line.
years, only Karl Malone in 1997 and Kenyon Martin in 2003 had worse shooting percentages. 2021 semifinals, Game 5 versus the Bucks. Now,
did he
this
get
one
hurt?
has a bit of an asterisk because Harden was clearly playing hurt.
Okay.
He suffered a hamstring injury early in Game 1 and missed several games. He tried to come back in Game 5 for Brooklyn, but he was clearly not himself. He went just 1 of 10 from the field, missed all 8 of his 3-point
Again, I gotta
attempts,
rewatch this.
and he had
This
4
Brooklyn Nets
turnovers.
team is another team
All
where it's
while-
like, at the time I didn't like this team, but I would really like to watch them again. So another thing to do in the offseason.
On one leg. The Nets actually won this game, which is kind of amazing considering how poorly their star player performed. You almost have to wonder if they wouldn't have been better off without Harden playing as an obvious decoy. 2022 semifinals, Games 5 and 6 versus the
Yep.
Heat. Game 5 was just an all-around brutal performance. Harden, now playing for the 76ers, scored just 14 points on 5 of 13 shooting, and yet again completely disappeared in the second half, going just 1 of 5 from the field. He also had 4 turnovers and a plus-minus of -29. The Sixers got absolutely hammered, losing by 35 points in a pivotal 5th game with the series tied 2-2. But somehow, Game 6 might have been even worse. In an elimination game at home, James Harden went completely scoreless in the entire second half. He took only 2 shots, again seeming like a shell of the man who could still play at a high level in the regular season. He finished with a -16 plus-minus, as the Celtics sent the Sixers home in 6. 2023 semifinals.
I'm not gonna
Game
lie.
7
I'm not gonna lie though.
versus the
Hold on,
Celtics.
chat. I'm not gonna lie. This series, I'm actually gonna go back and rewatch. Like, I'm probably gonna go back and rewatch some of the series I was talking about. The Game 1 performance that James Harden put on in this fucking series, magnifique. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Who cares? Game 1, I remember watching it because I was still in the military. I was in my apartment. I was just chilling, watched the game. I was about to turn it off because Joel Embiid wasn't playing. But I'm glad I watched it. One, I had a bet in, so I really wasn't about to turn that game off. But the fact that, that game was so good. It was so, I'm about to go back and watch it right after this.
Another Game 7, another disappointing performance from Harden. He scored just 9 points on 3 of 11 shooting and had 5 turnovers. And just like in countless years
Hold
before, he struggled in the
Is this
second
game
half
7?
in a
Because
way that
no,
was
wait, no,
jarring,
yeah, because game 7 was
making only one
Game
out of
7
his
was
3
at home for
shots
Boston.
when
I'm
the
tripping.
pressure was at its highest.
Because wasn't this the series in like game
2024
6?
first-
I think game 6, the Sixers were up 3-2. They were up 3-2, and Jason Tatum had hit like 6 threes. I wouldn't say 6 threes, maybe like 4 threes in the fourth quarter, where he had like a really bad game. Speaking of that, 2022 Jason Tatum. Finna go back and watch that too.
Game 5 versus the Mavericks. It was a crucial Game 5 with the series tied. Harden put up a meager
The Clippers
7
needed that
points on just
rebrand.
2
I'm not
of
gonna lie,
12
their jerseys
shooting.
are so much better now.
He went 0 of 3 in the second
And their
half
logo,
had
and they're
4
in the whole new
turnovers.
arena.
The Clippers got blown out by 30 points, and Harden's lack of offensive production was a major factor, which at this point was basically a guarantee if the beard was on your team. 2025 first round, Game 7 versus the Nuggets. Another Game 7, another Harden letdown.
Yep.
With everything on the line, he scored just 7 points and went 2 of 8 from the field. No urgency, no takeover. Just another disappointing finish to another disappointing playoff
I wonder
run.
how these superstars feel about this.
I just went through 13 different playoff runs where James Harden didn't just have a bad game, but
Choke
a
artist is
historic
crazy.
meltdown in some of the biggest games.
Make sure y'all
of
can
his
see it,
entire
Chad. Let me make sure
career.
y'all can see it.
But what does this all mean? I think James Harden is a legendary scorer, a worthy former league MVP, and a future Hall of Famer. But when you go down this list, when you look at how often he came up short in a multitude of ways, it's hard to ignore this unfortunate pattern when thinking about his basketball legacy. Now I understand, bad games happen to every great player. Michael Jordan once went 9 of 35 in a loss in the 1997 Eastern Conference Finals. LeBron, of course, has the 2011 NBA Finals.
Yo, I ain't gonna
and
lie.
they called Magic Tragic Johnson.
I ain't gonna lie. If I'm an NBA player, this is for LeBron. This is for LeBron because I'm not gonna get too crazy in my LeBron fandom right now. I ain't gonna lie. If I lose in the finals, it ain't even gonna look like I'm finna cry till I get to the locker room. Cause this picture is crazy. This picture is crazy. You look like you finna cry. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Of course, has the 2011 NBA Finals, and they called Magic Tragic Johnson for an entire year after the 1984 Finals.
Damn.
Having said that, the difference between these legends and James Harden lies in the fact that his worst games became almost certain to occur in the biggest moments. Not once or twice in his career, but so often
Chad, I
that
could
we
use
now
a meatball
expect him
sub
to
right
not
now
come up
so
big
bad.
when the games matter the most. And that's why, no matter how great he's been in the regular season, when it comes to the playoffs, James Harden has likely become the worst playoff superstar of all time. So what do you guys think?
Damn.
Is there anyone who can challenge Harden for
Crazy.
the title of the worst playoff superstar? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.